Hello, everyone,
Hi everyone, this is Rita.
and this is Mel. Welcome to your 2026 fix. I was about to say with me, Mel, but yeah, we've already done our intros. Well done. Okay, so Rita, what are we going to talk about?
We're going to talk about relationships.
Yeah, relationships. We don't really go into stuff like that a lot. We've spoken about health and, well-being. We've spoken a lot about, obviously we tapped into it a bit with complacency.
Yeah.
We've gone into things very practically, but we thought let's talk about something that's a bit more non-linear, non-straightforward. But yeah, relationships. So Rita, tell me, what are your thoughts on relationships? Maybe today, that might be a good idea, actually.
Okay, if we're talking about platonic relationships,
Okay.
I'll just, because relationships are family, platonic, and obviously intimate relationships.
Exactly.
So, platonic relationships, I think, in terms of that connection and that being whole separately, as well as when you're together, complementing each other as two whole beings. Intimately, it also means the same thing. Now, the reason this might sound okay,
yeah, I'm starting to think where you're going with this
is because sometimes you have to have that connection as two whole people getting to know each other as separately before the intimacy comes to make it work.
Do you think that's sometimes, or do you think that's all the time?
Over to you.
I think it's all the time.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays. Just because, and this is not being like negative, but it is about being factual as well, is that not everyone is who they say they are, and therefore you have to go into it with an openness and transparency. So it's like, I do believe that actually now, because of experience, you talk to each other, you get to know each other as separate before you think that actually it's worth kind of, going down the route of it being a romantic relationship. I mean, when I think about platonic, I think about, like, say, work relationships, you with your friends, etc. That's what I mean by platonic. But you've taken to the point of two people getting to know each other first and then developing a romantic relationship.
Yeah, and it may not be that. It might just stay as platonic. But if you think about relationships in general, you need to get to know each person involved in that relationship
as one person, not as
as who they are, and how you complement each other by your likes, your dislikes, and also respecting each other's likes and dislikes and not trying to make that person like you. And that can happen in a platonic. It can also happen in family as well as in an intimate relationship.
Yeah.
And I think, to me, that is a core element that sometimes is missing in intimate relationships, that we think, oh, we should approach it completely differently.
Yeah, absolutely. No, definitely, I don't disagree with that.
See, I got there in
the end. You got there in the end. That's what I was thinking, what's she talking about? But yeah, so with that in mind, then I think you kind of really just hit the nail on the head without us having to delve in too deep. Next one. But yeah, it is about being that whole person. And I think one of the things, like you mentioned about almost like, I'm not impressing, but saying, right, do you think I'm good for the job? I think that's one thing that we need to look at it, because if you look at it from the perspective of applying for a job, now this day and age, in terms of dating, I'm going to tell it like it is. It's a market. It is a meat market. you'll go on, a lot of people are going on apps and stuff because they feel like that is the only way to meet, because we've lost our sense of social behaviors in terms of how we speak to each other in person. So they find, right, let me just go on the phone and then let me find someone. And then it's like, oh, I like this person. Oh no, their nose is a bit funny. Let's get rid of them. Or, oh, well, this person looks nice, but they've got a little mark on their face, and then they might just not like go for it. Or they might get to the point where they're so looking beyond what they want that they might just swipe right with everything. And if you think about this, if you're applying for a job, you're not going to say yes to every single CV, are you?
No.
You want to be able to look at the CV
Not
and
because
then
it looks
say,
pretty.
not because it looks pretty, or if someone's attached their photo or whatever to it, that you say, yeah, all right, yeah, they'll make the pile because that person's pretty. You're not just going to say yes to everything. So why do we do this when it comes to like dating and choosing a partner? Because a lot of us do get to that point.
And we don't do that in our friendships.
No, we don't. We are selective. Who do you vibe with, and how do have you got similar interests, etc. So I think it's like, I'm not saying to you just to be like overly picky, but don't be overly accepting as well before you end up getting someone who doesn't have the right, I don't know, DBS or like disclosure bar security, by the way, for those of you who don't know. So yeah, you're not going to allow anyone without a security check. So why would you do that with someone that you're choosing to date, and then you say, oh, we both swiped right, he said hi or she said hi and I responded back hi, and then, oh, we organised to meet up.
Compatible.
Yeah, exactly. Hi, how are you? Oh, we're compatible. No, that's not it. Have you had enough conversations to understand whether they're a red flag or not, or even an amber flag?
I think also it's your intention for going into the relationship.
Yeah.
Like, are you looking for the relationship to complement you, or are you are you looking for it to, oh, I need to find someone because this part of my life is missing?
Yeah, kind of reflecting back to that last episode that we did about complacency. Sometimes it's just because, I want a partner, and it's a status thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, all my friends have got, partners, so why can't I have a partner? And then therefore you just nab the first person who's just noticed you or swiped right or whatever, or said hi. And then therefore it's like, oh, they're my boyfriend, they're my girlfriend, and then that's it. You can't just do that, because then you're attaching yourself to the status and not whether they're actually good for you.
Yeah. So there's a lot of things. I mean, relationships are complex.
Very.
And it's, from what I've observed from people who are in relationships, is you have to be able to talk. You have to be able to understand each other and complement. Like, when I say, oh, be aware of each other's strengths and weaknesses, but be willing to work with it if you're in for the long haul. And if you're not, be honest and open and say, I'm ready to tap out, and have that honest relationship, and not just continue because, well, it's I'm in it.
I don't want to rock the boat.
And I understand if you've got family, if you've got a couple of kids or whatever, that
is a bit different.
It is difficult. But you both need to have that conversation still, so you both are on the same page.
Yeah.
What are you both planning to do? Plan to stay together, work together as friends in the relationship, or are you planning on an exit strategy? And I think, again, going back to that platonic and being friends and being able to know each other fully before commitment will, I think, serve a lot of relationships. I don't know.
I think with that as well, it's basically, are you a team? And and it's like being able to work well together, being able to see that I've got your back and you've got my back, and we will basically tag team this and go through it. And if you're feeling low, I'll pick up for you, and if I'm feeling low, you'll pick up for me, kind of thing. But are you whole enough? My question is this: are you whole enough to make sure that if your partner is feeling not 100%, say they might be at 40% or even 30% themselves, are you 100% enough to pick up the slack if they do need to rebuild themselves, and vice versa? And what I found, and look, we'll be honest, we're watching Married at First Sight Australia at the moment, right? So, and what we've noticed is that actually there's a couple in particular is where this person's always like, oh, but I want you to validate my feelings. I want you to kind of lie to me and just have my back. And, oh, but I want to be like your partner. I want you to kind of say that so it makes me feel better. For me, those are huge red flags right there, because that partner is not their whole selves, because they're waiting on their partner to validate them. It's not about that. And I think this is one of the things where when people go into a relationship, they feel like it's because the other person needs to validate them. How about flipping it around? You're both validated, you get along well, you can work together.
Yeah.
And you happen to, be attracted to each other. And therefore, obviously, that's where that intimacy kind of,
and I
confirms
think
it.
The fun side of things comes when you are two whole people who are not looking to the other to validate, because then it becomes all this emotional baggage. And to me, I think it becomes ugly.
Yeah.
When you are so dependent on the other to validate you, and vice versa. Well, how can two people have fun and enjoyment in a relationship and have that spark if one is relying on the other to fulfill all their needs?
Yeah, exactly.
The other person needs that person as well involved, like they say, it takes two to tango.
It takes two to have a relationship.
Yeah. And I think that's the ugly side of it. It's when someone loses themselves in the relationship to keep the relationship because they feel.
We've all done it.
Yeah.
And we've all done it. And I think, if you're listening to this episode, and maybe you are, starting to think about, well, am I happy in my relationship or whatever? Maybe you might resonate with the point of, actually, I'm trying to please my partner, or I'm dependent on my partner to lift me up. I'm just going to put it into terms, going back to the work setting, because, very practical. When we're at work and you're working in a team, even if it is just you and a co-worker or whatever, do you expect them to do your work for you? Do you expect them to do, I don't know, warm your food up, or to, if you're having lunch, do you expect them to do the work that you're assigned to do, to take that on? So why would you do that in a relationship? Why can't you have this sense of independence with yourself, which, by the way, is very attractive to both sides? Yeah, male, female, whatever relationship you're in, it's very attractive to both sides that you have this sense of independence, because you know what, that's probably what you were attracted to in the first place, and that's why you thought, actually, I really do like this person. But once you're in it, for some reason, unfortunately, for those that are in a heterosexual relationship, you will find that more often than none, sometimes it is the women that might then just lower what they do, because we go into this role of, oh, but I'm the woman, and then therefore maybe I need to go a little bit more subservient or submissive to the man. Unfortunately, in this case, I know sometimes it is the other way around, but just kind of going from the point of, what is a bit more of a popular example. And then what happens there is then it's like, well, then they lose themselves. And then if the partner all of a sudden says, oh, okay, I'm going out with my friends, or I've decided to do something different, what's left is that the other partner is pining for them, or they're like, but what are they doing? And then you get into this kind of stalker mode and whatever. And again, a lot of us have been there. You know, I'm happy to say I've been there as well, and that's fine.
Me too.
And then, but you've lost yourself because you were the cool, independent person. Now, all of a sudden, you're rushing after someone because you haven't factored your whole self.
And I think for anyone who is in that situation right now, listening to this, is just remind yourself of what is it that you want from life, and and what would you say is the ideal relationship in terms of not your current one, but why you went into a relationship in the first place. What were you initially looking for in the relationship? Because sometimes you need that reminder. You need to take that step back of, hold on, is this what I wanted? And am I actually being true to myself in this relationship? Or am I being a different version just to keep the relationship? You got to be honest, because life is too short.
Way too short.
And, every second counts.
Every second counts, absolutely. And also, seconds are going, minutes are going so fast. I mean, you've probably already noticed it in the weeks, how quick they're going. So imagine if you're stuck, well, I won't say stuck, but if you're in a relationship that's so long, and then all of a sudden you've lost yourself, you've probably lost more minutes, months, and probably years that you could have sorted yourself out and get to where you need to be, and probably would have done so much,
and probably
so much
be
more
in a happy relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. So you have to factor in the moment you lose yourself, or the moment you think, actually, I'm pining a bit, hang on a second. This is the point where you need to kind of retract. Retract, reflect, and then say, what do I need? What do I need to do to change myself for the better, or
for myself?
Or is it because this person brings out the worst side of you? And I think that's the point as well, because I don't want to get into this point where sometimes we might end up blaming ourselves and say, well, why am I like this? Sometimes someone can bring out the worst in you, and maybe that could be also a sign where you might need to call it a bit. Now, I'm not advising everyone to split up with their partners, but I am advising people to just reflect if you feel you are going down that slippery slope.
Yeah, because there's a difference between someone motivating you and looking to bring the best out of you, and you actually, okay, at first maybe, oh no, I don't know about that. But then when you've tried something different, it's like, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I enjoy this side, this personality, that I've got. I didn't realize I would enjoy that. There's that side. But then there's also a side, well, no, I don't like this, but I don't know how to voice it. That's a difference there. So be aware of that, because sometimes, there could be someone who's very confident in a relationship, who will encourage you to be a certain way, but that they know helps you. And that's different compared to someone who is just forcing you to be something that no, I don't like that, and that's not me. And, that's going past respecting you. That's going into disrespect.
Yeah.
There's
encouraging versus coercion.
Yeah.
So if you're being coerced, then obviously, no, that's like, you have to be true to yourself. So that's basically kind of like where we're going with this, is more or less, just being aware of, are you your whole self in the relationship? And if not, what can you do to be your whole self so that you're not dependent on the other, so that you can actually then have an equal relationship, or at least a more of a team partnership between each other.
Yeah, keep those communication lines open between each other, because once you shut them, that's when the issues start arising. So as you would with friends, you talk, talk with your partner.
Yeah, talk with your partner. And I think understand each other first before you go ahead all the way, like, what's the term? Yeah, all kind of going, like, heading,
all systems
into,
go,
all systems into that relationship. It's an interesting one. And I think also, you know, obviously, like I said, you know, we speak from experience. It ain't even from the point of, you know, we've not had these things come up. And also we see it from others that, you know, we speak to, things that we watch, i.e. for anyone who is watching maths, you know exactly what we're talking about. Don't cover up the red flags just because you want to be in a relationship, or even the amber flags. You want to make sure that you've got that transparency to understand, hang on, let's communicate. Let's understand each other's roles. What do we bring into the relationship separately? And how do we make this work together? Or if we're bringing out the worst in each other, then what do we need to do? What's the right step to take in terms of, you know, taking a breather, work on it, whatever that might be, is obviously up to you.
Yeah. I mean, it's a complex topic, and you could sit here and analyze relationships.
Oh, we could talk about it all day.
For ages. But, you know, you've just got to be honest with yourself and be true to yourself.
Be true to yourself, but don't neglect yourself.
Yeah. And share who you are with your partner. Don't be afraid to share your true self if you're in a relationship. And if you're looking to get into a relationship, remind yourself of that. Don't go in and change yourself because you feel the pressure, because you want to be in a relationship.
Yep, exactly.
There's nothing wrong with taking a break from relationships.
As Rob Lowe said in St. Elmo's Fire, don't go changing to please me.
Exactly.
Right, okay. At that point then, and by the way, I know this is a lot about romantic relationships, but this is also the same for working relationships and family relationships and friendships as well. And you'll actually see that all of them really do work quite similarly. So if you do feel that you are a bit of a people pleaser, then maybe, you know, again, if you haven't listened to our episode around setting boundaries, maybe that is also going to be quite helpful as well. So do listen to that episode as well.
Reach out to us as well.
Reach out to us. So what did you think of this episode? Any questions, any comments? Like, share, comment, subscribe to us, and get ready for more this year. Okay? And Rita, are we ready to sign out?
We sure are.
Okay, that's Mel signing out.
And that's Rita signing out. Take care.
Bye.